We have always had grains that we could plant and from which we could eat the produce, but we have waited and longed for many years to be able to have the nutritious vegetables and greens to add to our grains for a healthy diet. Our climate is too harsh for us to be able to grow any kind of vegetables or greens beyond 3 months out of the year. Some of the richer people, who could afford it, bought some greens and vegetables that are flown in by plane from Nepalganj. But for those of us who are poor, this was never a possibility. We searched far and wide in the forests and collected any greens that we thought we could eat. Of course, we did not know very well the difference between the edible and poisonous ones. So, the outcome was not always good, and some even died by eating the poisonous ones. We feel that we, the poor people from these rural places, are treated like second-rate citizens by the leadership of our country. They do not seem to care for us or treat us as equals. However, we are people and therefore equal to all others. It is just that we are a people who have been deprived of the necessary greens and vegetables that are important for our nutrition. Our mouths watered when we saw any greens, but we never did have the opportunity to be educated with regard to which plants are edible and which are poisonous as we went out searching in the forests. These are the sorrows and worries of those deprived of our basic nutrition from greens and vegetables. But now times have changed. We are able to talk about the good experiences of the present time as compared to the difficulties we bore in the past. In times past, we had no vegetables or greens, so we ate stinging nettles which grew wild in the forests. We also searched the forests for bako, which is a poisonous plant. We used to mix it with barley flour and water and cooked it as a thin soup. We never used to eat vegetables or leafy greens at all. The vegetables we gathered from the forest and pastures, such as the stinging nettles, were often loaded with bugs and insects. We mostly cultivated buckwheat, the only thing that grows easily here, and ate that. No one grew vegetables in their fields. The only vegetables and greens that we ate were the green leafy plants which we gathered from the nearby forests and meadows during the few summer months. But as we had nothing else, we ate these plants anyway. Our parents used to go in search of leafy plants that they picked and brought home from the forest. That's what we used to eat as children. We had never actually seen green leafy vegetables before. We only ate buckwheat and the green plants gathered from the forest like bako. We can't even imagine how life for our parents and ancestors must have been like in this harsh and remote area. What challenges and problems they must have faced in their lives just to survive. Taking care of their own health as well as raising their children and keeping them alive and as healthy as possible, to keep the family's heritage going under such harsh conditions is almost unimaginable. Here are some testimonies of the people who survived to this day and how they experienced life at the time. The staff of RIDS-Nepal explained it to us and gave us the needed awareness. We discussed it together with them, and we saw that we needed to move forward in step with these new ideas that would benefit us. They taught us how to build a greenhouse on our own land. So, that is how we have now built our own greenhouse with the advice and support of RIDS-Nepal. Previously, we could only buy and eat some spinach once in a while. Now, we have a greenhouse and are able to grow a variety of green vegetables in it. We have spinach and various kinds of other leafy greens. We have coriander, cabbage, onions, and so on. Now we have a lot of green vegetables and are able to have nutritious diets. We also recognized that our children, who are now getting the needed nutrition, are also developing much better in terms of their mental capacity as compared to before. Are the vegetables you grow in your greenhouse enough for your family? Oh yes, what we grow in our greenhouse is more than sufficient for our family. We even have surplus, so that we have now started to sell some of it to our neighbors who do not as yet have a greenhouse. So, how much have you earned from selling the surplus vegetables? The money we earn covers important expenses, such as stationery for our children to go to school. We have had no other source of income before this. I am a housewife. I have no other opportunity to earn any kind of income. We women have always found it so hard to have the necessary salt, oil, and other basic spices for cooking. Now, with the money we make from the surplus produce from our greenhouse, we are able to buy these things. Also, no one from our family is frequently sick anymore, and none of my children have died due to malnutrition. We are all very happy. The pregnant women in our village are also healthier now because of the availability of vegetables from their greenhouses. Not only are we able to have healthy and nutritious food for our own families, but with the sale of the surplus from our greenhouses, we are also able to create the much needed income for our family. Before building your own greenhouse, what kind of vegetables did you and your family eat? When you went out to collect green leafy vegetables in the forest, what kind of problems did you face and overcome? How much time did you have to spend searching for and collecting wild vegetables in the forest? We went through very hard times collecting vegetables from the forest. It usually took us an entire day. We used to leave home in the very early hours of the morning and returned after sunset. This is because the forest where we had to go to find some greens was very far from our village. There is another kind of leafy green vegetable that took us an hour to get. At that time, we grew some potatoes on the high hills. That was the only thing we could cultivate. These fields were also far to get to. They are high above our village, and carrying the potatoes down back to the village from these hills was quite some task. Now, after we started growing our own greens and vegetables, cooking has become so quick. The greenhouse is on our own land, very close to our home. While the warm water is getting ready on the stove at home, within just a few minutes we are able to get fresh vegetables and greens from our greenhouse. Once picked, I just have to wash the vegetables and cook them. It is so easy now. So, things are very different now? Yes, it is so different now. While previously it took hours before we were able to cook vegetables, now with the greenhouse it takes us just a few minutes. Do you still sometimes go to collect wild vegetables in the forest, or do you now only eat the vegetables that you grow in your greenhouse? Previously, we used to dry the vegetables that we collected from the forest to keep some for the winter months. Now we feed that to our animals. Now that we have a greenhouse, we only eat freshly picked vegetables from the greenhouse. What kind of problems did you face with regard to the health of your children, the elderly at home, and the pregnant women when you used to eat only green plants from the forest? At that time, there was no nutritional food at all for the pregnant women, and the children were frequently suffering from various sicknesses, and many children were severely malnourished, underweight, small, and dirty. These were very unhealthy conditions. Now, with the greenhouse, we are able to eat fresh, green vegetables every day. This has helped all of us. The pregnant women are much healthier, the children are healthier and stronger, and do not fall ill so frequently, and the elderly people remain healthy longer. Now, with the awareness that you have, does your entire household know that the vegetables from the forest, besides being so time-demanding to gather, are not even the best for your health, and that the produce you get from the greenhouse is easy to get, fresh, safe, and good for your health? Yes, we all know that now. Even the children are now aware and understand that the vegetables grown in the greenhouse are far better and healthier than the vegetables we previously collected in the forest. We have already given up the habit of going to the forest in search for green leafy plants. The children in the village now pick fresh vegetables daily from the greenhouses belonging to their family and bring it to their mothers to add them to the daily diet of the family. In which month did you sow the spinach seeds in your open field before you had the greenhouse? We started sowing the spinach seeds in our open field in May and harvested it in July. Now, with the greenhouse, we plant the spinach seeds in October and start eating spinach already from November onwards and then throughout the winter. Even until April and May, we can eat daily spinach before we plant again new seeds in the open fields. So, you eat spinach throughout the winter season? Yes, we do. In previous times, when you were eating green leafy vegetables gathered from the forests and pastures, how far did you have to go from your home to find and pick them? How many hours did you spend getting them? We had to spend often 2 to 3 hours or more every time we went in search for vegetables in the forest and high altitude pastures. If we were lucky and found wild vegetables quickly, we could return home in time. If we didn't, then we just spent more hours searching for them. After bringing them home, we prepared and cooked them so that we could eat them right away. Some of the wild vegetables we ate made our hands swell and hurt, but because there was nothing else, we still ate them. There is no other option except being hungry if we didn't eat what we got from the forest. One has to eat, isn't it? We were often afraid of snakes while we went searching and collecting wild vegetables in the forest. Sometimes, if we ate a bit too much of the wild vegetables, we suffered from headaches. After spending so much time and effort in order to find the vegetables in the forests and pastures, oftentimes we felt that even our health was deteriorating as we had less energy and strength than what we gathered in total was giving us. Now, look how easy it is. We can get fresh, tasty and healthy spinach and other vegetables from the greenhouse anytime we want. Previously, we just had enough vegetables to eat with one buckwheat flatbread at the most, as we never could find enough vegetables in the forest to eat more. Now, instead of eating only one piece of bread with vegetables from the forest, we can easily eat 2 buckwheat flatbreads with lots of spinach or vegetables from our greenhouse. And the vegetables from the greenhouse are clean compared to the food gathered from the forest. With the greenhouse, everything is so much better than before. So, it has become much easier for your family to eat buckwheat bread with vegetables, right? Do you now eat vegetables both morning and evening? Yes, we can eat flatbread now with vegetables, both in the morning and evening. In fact, we can eat it almost any time we want, even for a snack, as we can harvest sufficient vegetables from our greenhouse. As opposed to the time and effort that we needed to bring vegetables from the forest before, it is so different now. Whenever I want some vegetables, I just go and pick some from our greenhouse, prepare it and cook it anytime. So, now being able to eat much more green, healthy vegetables from the greenhouse, what changes have you seen in your own as well as your children's health? Are they much less frequently sick than before? What about their nutrients and vitamins now? What changes did you see in your family's health? I feel like my eyes have been opened since we have been able to learn from RIDS-Nepal about the benefits of a greenhouse and being able to see those benefits ourselves since we are able to grow vegetables in our own greenhouse for extended periods of time. All the food we cook and eat now, whether it is the buckwheat flatbread or rice with lentils, all of the food is so much tastier, as we can eat each meal now with plenty of spinach and also vegetables grown in our greenhouse. In previous times, when we ate mainly stinging nettles and other green plants from the forest, we often had headaches or stomach upsets afterwards. You know how it was and still is in some parts of Homla, which is such a remote and impoverished area. But now, with the greenhouse, not only is our diet healthier and tastier, but we also eat more as it is much more easily available. While our bodies and health was weak before, we are all far more healthier and stronger now. By growing your own vegetables now, are you saving or earning money as well? Up until now, we are not earning any money through selling vegetables, as so far we have been eating all the vegetables that we grow in our greenhouse. But maybe from next year, we will be able to grow more so as to have a surplus that we can try to sell and have an income as well. However, we have already saved money overall because we have been far less sick since we started adding more green vegetables to our diets and thus have not had to spend any money on medicine.
रोग लाग्छ हैन यो ग्रीनहाउसमा हरियो देख्दाखेरि तपाईलाई कस्तो लाग्छ हौस लाग्यो खुसी लाग्छ है
We are still learning about how to grow more and better vegetables in our greenhouse. For example, in the first year, we did not fully understand that we needed to mix a sufficient amount of cow manure into the soil to increase its fertility. So, we added only a small amount of dry manure to the soil, which was not enough to fertilize it well. Had we known, we would have already had our first vegetables to eat in December. But now, we learned all these things through the training sessions given by RIDS-Nepal, and their periodical visits have helped us to do it the right way in order to have fertile soil to grow our vegetables. So, we will apply that from now on in our year's planting cycle. 2 years ago, when you did not have a greenhouse, what vegetables did you and your family eat? Before, when we had no greenhouse, we used to eat mainly potatoes and stinging nettles. The nettles were laden with bugs and insects. We tried to take them off the plants, but most of the time we cooked them along with the nettles and ate them. What was the outcome after eating these kind of green plants with insects? Not good. We often fell sick. When you are in your greenhouse now, and you see all the green vegetables around you, how do you feel about it? I feel so good. It makes me very happy. It makes you feel happy? Yes, of course, that makes me very happy. How is your health now after being able to have greens and vegetables in your diet? Have there been any changes in your health? We became healthier and stronger overall after we started eating these vegetables. You are getting in more vitamins and nutrients through them, right? Yes, more vitamins and strength as well. And what about your children's health? Their health is also much better. They are so much healthier with all the additional vitamins and nutrients in their diet. Are you happy now? Yes. Vegetables from this greenhouse are way better than the insect-laden stinging nettles we used to eat before, when there was nothing else around. Greenhouse vegetables are so much better than the bug-infested stinging nettles we ate before. No stinging, no insects, clean and nutritious. Yes, everything is so much better now. It is good. Very good.
मैले सोचे अमृति होला तारिकमा चोतालै क्या पाल खाऊ कठैमा जालै दुगमाथि विपत्ति पर्दो तालिकमा चोतालै क्या जानी म पाया हूँ कठैमा जालै जाऊँ त घनघोर जङ्गल तालिकमा चोतालै उदो जाऊँ त भिरो कोठैमा जालै मन चञ्चल हुँदैन मेरो तालिकमा चोतालै सधैँभरि पिरो बैरी माया जालै सधैँभरि पिरो बैरी